Children, our students here at Pleasant Grove are eager to perform. This is an amazing event. This is our first ever school play, so we're all excited, certainly the students as well. And I am so proud of the way that the students have worked hard throughout the course of this year, proud of the way our school community has come together. Not just the students, but staff and parents who've committed hours and time to prepare for this wonderful event. You know, I would be remiss without acknowledging some of these parents, but I know I'm not going to get it all because there's been an army of volunteers throughout the course of the year. One thing I'll say is this represents the power of ideas and commitment. And I certainly want to thank Melissa Reeves, former staff member and parent, who's still here at the school as a parent and a volunteer. She pitched the idea of a theater club based on work that she had been doing as a staff member with students last year. And she saw how it engaged a lot of the kids with creativity and that passion to get up and to read and to perform. And we know that those skills translate into the real world anytime you've got to stand in front of a large audience and you've got to present your ideas and you've got to speak with passion. And so this is a great way to help kids build meaningful skills. And a lot of these kids, they have flat out loved being part of the theater club this year. And you're going to see that evidence in their performance tonight. I'm going to turn the mic over to Miss Reeves. She's going to give us a little bit more information. We'll look forward to this wonderful evening.
Can someone go run and get Miss Erin Lane? Chris, could you get Erin Lane, somebody? From the very beginning, when I came to Mr. Batten about this, he has been completely supportive. The administration here has been wonderfully supportive, and that's a big deal. That means a lot to me. But also from the very beginning, I had one parent that stepped up and said, whatever you're going to do, I want to be there. And she has been with me from day one, and so I want her out here. She's going to say a few words when I'm done as well. Miss Erin Lane, she is amazing. She does a lot of other volunteer, but I cannot thank her enough. But I also want to let you know that we have had many other volunteers, and I'm going to try to remember. I've got everybody written down, so I'm going to read it. I had staff members that came on board from the beginning. Miss Locklear, our counselor. Miss Lyons, third grade teacher. Miss Kaylee Craig, first grade teacher, jumped on board. And then I had other parents. Mr. Chris Piper and his wife Susan, and Anna Letchworth. Oh, what an amazing help these people have been. Stephanie Lynch and Nell Cow have all helped, and so many of you have asked, what can I do to help? And the biggest thing that you have done that I want to applaud all of you in is picking your kids up every Wednesday at 5:15 with rush hour traffic. Thank you very much. What an amazing support system you are for your kids. This is my dream being made a reality, and Miss Erin's, but we love your kids. We have enjoyed them, and I think you're going to love this production. Few housekeeping things. We are having it professionally video recorded. If you see that there in the middle, please be mindful of that. I know you want to get your own video, so you want to do this, but please be mindful of people behind you also, and also be mindful that your voices carry, especially to that big boom mic. So, and be mindful that your child may not be on stage, but someone else's is, okay? So just be mindful and be courteous of that. And Erin, you want to come say a few words? And thank you again for being here.
Oh, so I just wanted to thank you again. We have had so much fun with your children, and they have come so far. We had a lot of kids at the beginning of the year that were not sure they wanted to be on stage. They said, no, don't give me a part. And then 3 or 4 weeks in, we're like, okay, maybe you can give me a part. We worked on probably about 15 to 20 different skits over the course of Theater Club. We've had some kids drop out. We've even had some illness in the last few weeks, and your kids have stepped up. Some of them are in parts that 3 weeks ago they weren't in, and they said, oh, it's fine, I'll do it, I'll learn it. And as anyone that's ever done a show before, the show must go on. Whether you just learned a part, or whether you're stepping in, or whether you forget your lines. So we've talked about all sorts of things over these last few weeks, but bottom line is we want your kids to have fun. We hope they've had fun, and We really, really thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Enjoy the show.
Welcome to our Theater Club Showcase of Culture. We have been working hard over the last few months, memorizing our lines, learning about stage direction, walking, and stage props. Over the next hour, we will take you on a global tour, visiting 5 continents, including Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, and South America. Sit down, relax, and enjoy the show.
You have your passports ready? It's time to check in. As a reminder, please turn off your cell phones before takeoff. We start in Africa outside a small village and then journey to the grasslands and Africa plains. Once upon a time, there was a hat maker who made all kinds of hats. Big hats, small hats, tall hats, short hats, top hats, and bottom hats. It was market day, and the hat maker wanted to sell his hats there. He put his hats into a basket, one hat on his head, and lifted the basket of hats onto his shoulder. He then set off to market through the forest. While he walked, he sang a song.
I'm going to market, to market, to market. I'm going to market to sell my hats.
It was a hot day, and the hat maker needed a rest, so he put down his basket and lay under a tree and fell asleep. When he woke up, all the hats in his basket had gone.
Oh no, I have to find those hats. It took me months to make them.
He searched high and low and could not find them, until by chance he happened to look up and saw that in the trees there was a crowd of monkeys, and every one of them was wearing one of his hats. He shook his fist at the monkeys.
Why, you monkeys?
Monkeys copied him and shook their fists back. The hat maker wagged a finger at the monkeys.
Naughty monkeys.
Monkeys copied him and shook their fingers back. The hat maker held his hands together and begged the monkeys.
Oh, please, give me back my hat.
Monkeys copied the hat maker again. In frustration, the hat maker threw his hat down on the ground.
That's it, I've had it with you monkeys.
Sure enough, up in the trees, the monkeys copied him and all of the hats came tumbling down. The hat maker was happy. He filled his basket with the hats and continued on his way to market singing his song. He got to the market and sold all of the hats. When he returned home, he told his daughter the story of the monkeys and the hats. His daughter loved the story and asked her again and again over many years. It came to pass that the hat maker's daughter grew up and she too became a hat maker, and one day found herself walking through the forest to market with a basket of hats singing.
I'm going to the market, market, market. I'm going to the market to sell my hats.
It was a hot day, and the young hat maker, like her father before her, put down her basket of hats and fell asleep beneath the tree. When she woke up, all of her hats had gone, but the young hat maker wasn't worried. She looked up into the trees and, sure enough, saw a crowd of monkeys wearing her hats.
I've heard the stories, I know what to do.
She waved to the monkeys. They waved back. She put up her thumbs. They gestured back. Slowly and confidently, the young hat maker took off her own hat and threw it to the ground. Up in the trees, the monkeys did not move a muscle. She repeated the action again and again, but still, none of the monkeys moved. After a while, the biggest of all the monkeys, A large, sleek, long-haired monkey hung his hat up on a branch and climbed down the tree. He came right up to the young hat maker and pointed a long monkey finger at her.
You think you're so clever that your father told us stories. Well, our father told us stories too, so today we'll teach you the hats. And that's why it's important to listen to stories, because you might never know what's going to happen.
There was one place in the 7 hills which the animals liked very much. There was good water and green grass, but a strong lion lived there. He killed 2 or 3 animals every day.
What are we going to do? If he keeps up this way, we'll be dead soon.
Maybe we could go talk to him.
So all the animals went to the lion, and Hyena began to speak.
Oh dear lion, it is not good for you to run and hunt all day long in the 7 hills. We'll send you 1 animal for your dinner every day. All right, but you must begin to send me my dinner now. I am hungry, and if I don't get an animal every day, I will kill all of you that I want.
Don't kill us.
They held a lottery, and that day it was Antelope who became the lion's dinner. And every day they sent an animal to the lion, but the animals weren't happy.
Let's face it, we're all going to be his dinner sooner or later.
The next day, it was Hare's turn to be the lion's dinner, but he was not unhappy.
That's good. That's very good. Don't worry, I won't.
The hare ran into the river, jumped into the water, and began to roll in the mud. He went to the lion very dirty.
What's this? I'm not having a dirty animal for my breakfast. Oh dear me, I wasn't supposed to be your dinner. I was supposed to bring you a big hare for your dinner. But on my way, I met a lion. He took the hare for himself. Another lion in the 7 hills? Yes, there is. He's big and strong, and I think he's stronger than you are. Show me that lion. All right, let's go.
The clever little hare took the lion to a big well. The hare looked into the well.
Look, there he is, and the other hare is with him.
The lion roared, and the lion in the well roared back. The lion bared his teeth, and the lion in the well did the same. The lion was
Dare you!
The lion was so enraged that he jumped into the well to fight the other lion. Hare went back to the animals and shared the good news.
Hooray for hare! Hooray for hare!
And the greedy, lazy old lion never bothered him again.
Once there were no stories in the world. That is because Nami, the sky god, had them all. Anansi was a clever spider who wanted to entertain the people, so he went to Nami.
Okay, Sky God and Nami, I would like to buy your stories. How much are they? My stories cannot be bought with gold. Unless I have my stories, you must bring me the Izar, the hornet, the dwarf, and the leopard. That seems impossible. That's my price.
But like I said, Anansi was a clever spider. He set about capturing these. First, he went to where Python lived and struck up a conversation.
Hello there, Python. I've heard your husband say that you are longer than a palm branch, but I don't believe it.
Are you calling my husband a liar? I am longer than a palm branch. I will prove it.
So Anini stretched herself out straight on the palm branch, and Anansi quickly tied her to it and carried her away. Next, he went to where Osibo the leopard lived. He dug a deep hole in the ground. Leopard fell into the hole.
Hello down there, Osibo. It looks like you could use some help.
Yes, Anansi, please get me out of this hole.
I'll spin some of my web so you can crawl out.
But Anansi tricked poor Osibo. The leopard got out, but he was tangled in Anansi's webs. Anansi carried him away. To catch the hornets, Anansi filled a pot with water and poured little sprinkles over the nest.
It's raining, little hornet. Come fly into my pot to keep warm.
Of course, they did, and Anansi slid the lid down tight and carried the poor hornets away. Next, he went to where the dwarf lived. He made a doll and covered it with sticky gum. Then he put a bowl and fruit in front of it. When the dwarf came by, she ate the doll and thanked the doll, who she thought had left it.
Thank you for this delicious soup. I said thank you. Can't you heal me? Oh, I see. You owe that in food.
Annoyed with the doll's bad manners, the mean little dwarf struck the doll with one hand and then the other. Of course, her hand stuck to the doll and she was captured too.
Well, that's all of them.
Anansi went back to Niamey.
I have done what you have asked. May I have your stories now? You have done so well, little spider. They are making your stories. All stories.
Anansi brought the stories to the people, who were overjoyed and entertained for years and years. It's time to head to the airport. We're jumping over into Asia for this next skit that takes place in the plains of India. Once upon a time, there was a nervous little monkey. He was lying beneath a mango tree worrying.
What would happen if the sky? What would happen if the sky opened up and swallowed me?
Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The monkey jumped up and started running as fast as his legs could carry him. Soon, he came upon a rabbit.
Why are you running so fast?
The earth is going to open up and swallow us. We have to get away.
Oh no, I better run too.
So the monkey and the rabbit ran and ran. They ran until they came upon a goat.
Why are you guys running so fast?
The earth is going to open up and swallow us.
We have to get away.
Then I better run too.
So the monkey and the rabbit and the goat ran and ran. They ran until they came upon an ostrich.
Why are you running so fast? The earth is going to open up and swallow us. We have to get away. Oh no, I better run too.
So the monkey and the rabbit and the goat and the ostrich ran and ran. They ran until they came upon a hippo.
So fast. The earth is going to open up and swallow us. We have to get away. Oh no, I better run too.
So the monkey and the rabbit and the goat and the ostrich and the hippo ran and ran. They ran until they came upon an elephant.
Why are you guys running so fast? The earth is going to open up and swallow us. Get away. Oh no, I better run too.
So the monkey and the rabbit and the goat and the ostrich and the hippo and the elephant ran and ran. They ran until they came upon a lion. The lion roared a mighty roar and all of the animals stopped.
Why are you all running so fast? The earth is going to open up and swallow us. Who told? The hippo told me. The ostrich told me. No, the goat told me. The rabbit told me. The monkey told me. I was sitting under a mango tree worrying about the earth might one day open up and swallow me up when suddenly I heard a loud bang. Let's go and Dr.
So the lion took the monkey and all of the other animals back to the place where the whole story began.
See this fallen mango on the ground? Yes. Do you think, little monkey, that the mango might have fallen and made this loud bang? So the earth isn't going to open up and swallow all of us?
So they did. All of the animals sat under the tree eating mangoes, and they tasted very sweet.
Are you enjoying the trip? We now move along to Europe, where we visit a small farm, the Irish countryside, and take a quick jaunt to the western Russia.
Once upon a time, a lamb, a cat, a pig, and a little red hen lived on an old farm on a flowery hill surrounded by fields of golden wheat. One day, the little red hen found some grains of wheat scattered in the barnyard.
Look what I found. Who will help me plant these grains of wheat? Then I'll do it myself.
And so she did. She knew that seeds need water to grow tall and strong.
Who will help me water these seeds? Then I'll do it myself.
And so she did. The little red hen's basket was soon filled with wheat.
Who will help me take this wheat to the mill to be ground into flour? Then I'll do it myself.
And so she did. The kind miller ground the wheat into powdery, velvety flour, and the little red hen carried it home in a rough brown sack.
Who will help me make this bread? Who will help me make this flour into bread? Then I'll do it myself.
And so she did. The little red hen mixed the flour into sticky dough and kneaded it into a smooth loaf.
Who will help me put this bread in the oven to bake? Then I'll do it myself.
And so she did. The kitchen filled with the delicious scent of baking bread, and the other animals came to see what was happening. The little red hen took the warm, crusty loaf out of the oven and set it on the table.
Who will help me eat this fresh, tasty bread? I'll give you some this time, but the next time we must all help.
The next time the little red hen found some grains of wheat, the lamb planted it in the rich brown soil, the cat watered it carefully every day, and the pig harvested the wheat when it had grown tall and strong. When the dough was baked,
Together the animals made hot chocolate and ate the fresh, warm bread. It was delicious. The animals live happily ever after, cooperating and helping every day.
There was once a man who thought himself unlucky.
My house is too small. I don't have enough bread. I don't have enough money. I don't even know what.
He decided to go to the wisest woman in the village who lived at the top of the hill. As he walked, he sang.
I'm so unlucky, as unlucky as can be. I'm so unlucky, nothing works for me. Look. See, look at how unlucky I am. I took up here.
Soon he came to a wolf. The wolf was old and covered with maggots.
Where are you going? I'm going to ask the wisest woman how to get more luck. Then can you ask her why I'm so sick and tired? And do you eat
The unlucky man agreed and continued up the path, singing a song. Soon he came to a tree by the river. The tree was short and thin and had no leaves.
Where are you going? I'm going to ask the wisest woman how to get more luck. Then can you ask her why I can't get any water? Oh, and Deer Park would be heavenly.
Unlucky man agreed and continued up the path, singing a song. Soon he came to a cottage. A beautiful maiden stood in the doorway.
Where are you going? I'm going to ask the wisest woman how to get more luck. Then ask her why I'm so sad and lonely. And do you have a taunt? Just one.
Unlucky man agreed and he finally got to the top of the hill to ask the wisest woman his question.
Oh, wisest woman, why am I so unlucky? Don't be silly. You have plenty of luck. Luck is all around you. Find it and celebrate it. Then you'll be happy. Or not.
Unlucky man headed home, this time singing a new song.
So lucky as can be. So lucky. Luck is there.
Soon he came to the cottage with the beautiful maiden.
Did you ask the wisest woman my question? The wisest woman said you said no. Then marry me. I haven't got time. Going home to look for my loss.
He continued on singing his new song. Soon he came to the tree.
Did you ask the wisest woman my question? The wisest woman said you cannot get water because there's a pot of gold buried in your root. Then can you dig it up for me? I haven't got time. I'm going home to look for my life.
Next he passed the wolf.
Did you ask her my question? The wisest woman said you should eat the first fool who comes along.
And so he did.
Once upon a time, there were two children, Olga and Sergi, who lived with their mother at the edge of the deep, dark woods. Inside the deep, dark woods lived Baba Yaga, who was a witch who loved to eat children. Her geese were known for kidnapping little ones.
I'm going to the market to buy sugar and buns. If you're going to play in the garden, watch out for Baba Yaga's 3 black geese.
We know, Mother.
But Olga and Sergi did not listen. They went outside and Sergi was kidnapped by the 3 black geese. She ran and ran.
Oh no, Sergi!
She ran and ran like the wind. Suddenly, a fish called out, who was lying on the bank side of the river.
Olga! I haven't got time to stop. I'm in a rush to get to the dark wood to save my sister from Baba Yaga.
But Olga did help the fish, and as a reward, the fish gave her a shell.
As you have helped me, so I shall help you. Throw this shell over your shoulder and it will help you. Thanks.
Again, she started to run toward the deep, dark woods. She ran and ran like the wind. Soon, she came upon a squirrel who was caught in a trap.
Olga! I haven't got time to stop. I'm in a rush to get to the deep dark woods to save my sister from Baba Yaga.
But Olga did help the squirrel, and she gave her an acorn as a reward.
As you have helped me, so I shall help you. If you ever find yourself in trouble, throw this acorn over your shoulder and it will help you.
Again, she started to run toward the deep, dark woods. She ran and ran like the wind. Soon, she came upon a mouse who couldn't get into her hole.
Olga! I haven't got time to stop. I'm in a rush to get to the deep dark woods to save my sister from Baba Yaga.
But Olga did help the mouse, and she gave her a small stone as a reward.
As you have helped me, so I shall help you. If you ever find yourself in trouble, throw this stone over your shoulder and it will help you. Thanks.
In the deep, dark woods, Olga found Baba Yaga's house on 3 chicken legs. She rescued her brother, but the 3 black geese woke up Baba Yaga, and she started to chase after them.
Run! I'll get you both!
With long bony arms and long bony legs, she reached out to grab the children when Olga put her hand into her pocket and pulled out a present from the fish, a shell. She threw it over her shoulder and a lake appeared. Baba Yaga drank her way through it. Baba Yaga came after them again with long bony arms. Olga put her hand into her pocket and pulled out a present from the squirrel, an acorn. She threw it over her shoulder and a forest appeared. Baba Yaga chomped her way through it. Baba Yaga came after them again with long bony arms. Olga put her hand into her pocket and pulled out a present from the mouse, a stone. She threw it over her shoulder, and a mountain appeared. With her stomach full of lakes and trees, even Baba Yaga couldn't eat the mountain, and the children made it home safely.
This is time for tea. With buns and sugar. Girl power!
Hold on to your hats. It's time to go down under for our next 2 skits. Join us as we enter Australia and New Zealand. It was late summer and the insects were demolishing the great forest, feasting on the trees and chomping through the branches until they fell to the leaf-littered floor. Tanamahuta, the guardian of the forest, was very concerned.
I must send one of the birds and his family to eat the insects and lessen their numbers.
Tana Mahuta called out to all the other birds, and they came flapping to the high rock, trying to find a place closer to God at the top of the Kari tree, the highest perch in the forest.
The birds are demolishing the forest. I need one of you to move you and your family down to the forest floor to eat the insects.
The birds were silent. No one wanted to move to the forest floor where it was dark and were hungry animals prowled.
But we like to fly.
Yes, and we like to be up here away from danger.
I understand, and I'm sure one of you will be willing to offer yourself.
Tana Mahuta looked at the blue around the top of the sky.
Kikuhoro, will you move your family to the forest floor?
I'm too busy building a nest, and my wife's gonna lay eggs soon.
I understand. What about you, Keko? Will you consider moving to the forest floor?
I hear that the floor is filled with roundies over my dainty feet.
I see. What about you, Chewy Bird? Would you consider moving to the forest floor?
You know I'm scared of the dark. I hear the sun never shines through the canopy.
I see. Someone must be willing to move to the forest floor. Otherwise, the forest will perish and all of us with it.
Pipiwahora stared at his feet. Chewy Bird shifted uneasily. Pukaku scratched an imaginary itch. Just then, Kiwi Bird flapped her enormous rainbow wings.
I will move. But you love soaring through the sky.
Yes, and the wings are so beautiful.
Why would you give us that to live on the forest floor? Tana Mahuta is right. If the forest dies, we will always go home. I don't want that happening to my children, your children, or all the other bird children for that matter.
I must warn you, once you give your word, you will never be able to return to the realm of earth. You'll be stuck on the forest floor forever.
I understand. Kiwi took one last look at the dazzling sunshine and bright blue sky, and then she climbed down through the forest canopy. Tana Mahuta looked at all the other birds.
I'm disappointed in the rest of you. Chewy Bird, you shall have 2 white feathers on your neck, a badge to show that you're a character. Kukeko, you shall live in the marshes where your dainty feet will always be covered in mud. And Pipiwahora, you shall never build another nest again. You shall have to lay your eggs in other birds' homes.
He looked down through the trees where brave Kiwi was starting to gobble up lots of the insects.
As for Kiwi, she will lose her colors to protect her from predators. But she'll be one of the most well-known birds in the world, a shining example of selfless love and bravery.
And Tana Mahuta's words came to pass. To this day, a small flightless bird, no larger than a hen, is the most well-known bird in Australia and New Zealand and associated with the wonderful spirit of that part of the world. Long ago, before even the Dreamtime, there was a tribe of people who did not live on the earth. They lived in the skyward, and their camp was near the 2 brightest stars so that they could light their fire sticks from them. They were the only people anywhere who had the use of fire. The people on earth had to manage without it. As even in the skyward, life is not always perfect. There came a time when there was not enough food. Some of the most adventurous of the skyward people decided to come down to the earth world to hunt. We will hunt possums and collect nuts and berries. It won't take long, and we can bring back enough food for everyone, they told their companions.
Two brothers named Canby and Genevieve brought their fire sticks down to earth with them and left them smoldering while they went off hunting. Hunting possums turned out to be a lot more difficult than they had expected, and the time drew out and the land was very quiet. The fire sticks became bored and began to play chase. They were very clever at this game, running from place to place, and everywhere they touched the dry grass, it caught a lit. Rapidly, all the little fires grew into one big fire, and the smoke could be seen from a long way off. As soon as the Sky Brothers saw the smoke, they left the hunting party and hurried back to put out the fires. The Aboriginal people who lived in the area had also seen the smoke and had come to see what was going on. They never had seen fire before, and at first they were very afraid. It did not take them long, however, to realize this strange phenomenon could be extremely useful to them, providing them with light and warmth. They also noticed that some possums the Sky Brothers had caught had been cooked by the fire and smelled wonderful and savory. They realized they too could make their food more tender and tasty with fire.
Before Canby and Genevieve could finish putting out the fires, several of the Aboriginal men lit fire sticks for themselves and hurriedly carried them back to their camps. We must watch over these fire sticks and carefully keep them burning forever, they told one another. Canby and Genevieve quickly gathered up their playful fire sticks and returned to their campsite in the sky. They were terribly afraid the Earth people would inflict some punishment on them for having caused such a disturbance. But the Earth people were in awe of their sky visitors, and rather than being angry about the burnt grass, were excited and grateful for the wonderful gift of fire.
Our trip is almost over. We finish up in South America. Enjoy these final tales, and we hope you don't have any jet lag. One day, Toad was hopping home when he ran into Vulture, who looked as if he was going somewhere.
Where are you going, Vulture? I'm going to Squawk! A continent in the sky, organized by the full moon himself. All the birds will be there. Oh, I wish I could go. Then the heavens would echo with my beautiful singing. That's debatable. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm going to sing my special Squawk song, and with my guitar. Oh, that makes me want to go even more. Don't worry, I'll tell you all about it when I get back. So long. Goodbye.
Toad hopped sadly down the trail, but then he had an idea. He snuck back to Vulture's house. Soon after, Vulture flew up into the sky with his guitar tucked under his wing.
I can't wait for everyone to hear my special song.
Finally, he arrived at the sky concert and mingled with the other birds.
Good evening, birds. Hi, Vulture. Glad you could make it. This is going to be so much fun.
Suddenly, the other birds noticed something rustling in Vulture's guitar. They laughed and Toad started to hop out.
Why, Mrs. Toad, how nice of you to join us. Sorry for stowing away in the car. It was the only way I could think of getting up here.
Vulture was furious. He'd been tricked into dragging a slimy creature into the sky, the home of the birds and the stars. He swore he'd get his revenge. Wahaha!
Do-up, 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 do-up. Why do fools fall in love? Why do birds sing so loud?
The birds and Toad enjoyed a lovely concert. Vulture performed
Vulture went up to Toad.
I'd assume, Mrs. Toad, you'd like to go home the same way Squawk you came.
If you don't mind a passenger in your guitar again.
Why, I could never desert a fellow musician in need, and I would never lie about such a thing. Wink, wink. My guitar.
My pleasure.
Vulture took off, soaring into the blossoming dawn. He flew over the prairie and the forest, and when he reached a rocky place, bristling with jagged edges, he tipped over the guitar.
Down Toad fell, turning head over heels until he hit the ground far below. He broke his back in a dozen different places, and it stayed lumpy even when it healed.
Poor Toad's voice was never the same again. Fear had turned her beautiful singing voice into a horrible croak.
In the beginning, all of the birds in the world had feathers that were plain gray.
One day, a cormorant came across a dead snake lying at the edge of a river. It was a rainbow snake with lots of bright colors in its glossy scales. The cormorant hopped into the water and dragged the snake ashore with his beak.
Right now, let's fall into the water.
Even if I had just one of those colors and my feathers, it would make you look like a king.
Whoa! Look! Some of the yellow from the rainbow snake was rubbed onto your chest. You were right. You do look like a king.
The finch stopped to admire his reflection in the water. Then he flew over to the other birds.
Look at me, I'm growing out more.
In less time than it takes for a few morning flowers to open, all the birds gathered around.
The birds lined up and began taking colors. Hummingbird went first.
I like some green, please.
And the little hummingbird left content with a green head. Ibis was next.
I'm taking some scarlet.
And with that, Ibis turned a lovely shade of scarlet. Kingbird, Flatbill, and Toucan all wanted gold.
There's enough for all of us if we only take a little. I want some of my beak.
Me too.
I want some of my belly.
Kingbird, Flatbill, and Toucan all are feeling proud and pleased about their selection. Next, a woodpecker and a cardinal approached.
I like some red.
Me too, but only a little. I don't want predators to spot me.
The cardinal covered himself in red, and the woodpecker just put a little on his head. A gray of hair was next.
Finch noticed that the cormorant still hadn't chosen a color.
Hey, Cormorant, maybe you should pick your favorite color before there's none left.
I'll choose when everyone else is done. I don't want to be greedy.
A pair and a couple of sun canoers were the last to go.
I can't decide. They all look so pretty. Maybe I'll take some of each. That's a great idea.
The parrot and the sun canoers took all the rest of the colors. The other birds thought they looked a little silly, but they were too nice to say anything.
All of the colors, except for a few specks of white, were gone.
Hey, Cormorant, perhaps you should have chosen your favorite color before you told everyone else about the snake.
I'm quite happy to make you with the white. After all, it's not the color that makes the bird. It's the thoughts and actions.
Finch watched the cormorant fly away as he marveled at his wisdom.
Although he was happy with his yellow, he promised himself to try to live up to the cormorant's example.
The forests of Venezuela are full of wonderfully colored birds, but the noble cormorant is still gray, with a few specks of white on his wings.
That it's coming to an end. Today was our last time for this year, but next year we will be here again. So these are your kids. These are what you supported. Thank you.